Hampshire's first-in-the-nation presidential primary has been slow getting started, but on tax day, 4 candidates are off and running. We'll hear from them coming up in the Cloakroom.
There really is no better time to have this discussion and debate than what's happened in Washington, D.C. over this past week. We saw a young man step forward with a bold plan. Frankly, I would argue that it could be bolder, but it's still, for Washington, D.C., a very bold plan on how to deal with the explosion of government, the crisis that is not around the corner, that is here right now in America when it comes to our financial and fiscal situation. And to see the response from the leader, from the President of the United States. A completely political diatribe against people trying to do responsible things and engage in a responsible discussion. The President offered nothing in the way of fiscal solvency or a path to any kind of sustainable path to government in his budget. Paul Ryan and the House Republicans stood up and did what a lot of folks didn't think they had the heart to do, which is take on, it's the old joke about Willie Sutton robbing banks. He said, why do you rob banks? He said, well, that's where the money is. And the bottom line is, you can't take on the big fiscal problems that confront Washington, D.C. unless you take on where the money is. And where the money is in the entitlement programs. And to the credit of the House Republicans, they stood up and they made bold proposals to begin to bend that cost curve down and bring us back to a path of sanity. Not even enough, but again, a start in the right direction. And the President of the United States got up the other day and in front of Paul Ryan and others and gave a partisan attack, a broadside, as Paul Ryan said, against those who are trying to engage in constructive debate. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not leadership. That is not what the American public voted for or deserved. What they voted for, if I always say, back in 2008, the American public was convinced. They were convinced that what we needed was a president that they could believe in. They were convinced that that's what America needed, a president that they could believe in. And now, after 2 years of watching what President Obama has done to this country, America has now realized what they need is a president who believes in them. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in you. I believe in you because I believe that what made America the greatest country in the history of the world, a transformative force in the course of world history, was a very simple concept. It's a simple concept enshrined in those documents that I'm sure many of you are carrying in your back pocket or in your front pocket right now. The Declaration of Independence. When it said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. That phrase is the reason for America.
It is a delight to be here with you at the New Hampshire State House. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful spring day, and thanks for being modern-day Paul Revere's patriots who are sounding the alarm and sending the message across this state and the entire United States of America that we're here to take back our country. I want to talk to you today about restoring America's promise. And under this president, we have a country that's headed in the wrong direction. Have you had enough of $4 a gallon gas? Yes. Have you had enough of a federal government that is out of control? Yes. Have you had enough of big government and big unions and big bailout businesses scratching each other's back, asking you to get your wallet out to pay for their recklessness and stupidity? Yes. We're here today to send the message to them and to our fellow citizens across this country, and particularly to the big government, big unions, big business, what I'd call the triangle of greed, the bailout businesses, big government, big unions. Let's send them this message. Don't tread on me. Now, to restore America's promise, we need a president who's going to keep the promises that they make to America. Unfortunately, we had candidate Obama say one thing and President Obama do another. He's broken his promise to our country. Now, you'll remember well when he went around the nation as a candidate. And remember, one of his great phrases he repeated over and over again, it was, "Yes, we can." Remember that? So when we ask the question, did he break his promises to America? The answer is going to be, and we should make sure he says it and we say it, yes, he did. So I got a few questions for you here this afternoon. Remember when candidate Obama said he wouldn't spend one more dime on federal government's budget without paying for it? Do you think that President Obama broke his promise? Remember candidate Obama said that he was going to cut the deficit in half during his first term. Did President Obama break his promise to America? You remember candidate Obama said, oh, we need to fix the healthcare system, it's broken. But he stood in Iowa and New Hampshire and other places and said he's going to focus on cost containment. He's going to bring costs down. He's going to do healthcare reform with the Republicans. And he opposed, as a candidate, the individual mandate. Did President Obama break his promise to America?
And I'm thrilled to have so many of you all out here today. And you notice we had a few people going up on the sides, making noise. They couldn't get tickets, so that's why they're upset. But here are the three things that I want to remind you to do in order for us to continue this movement that has started. You see, the sleeping giant called We the People has awakened, and it's not going back to sleep. It is not going back to sleep. Now, the people in Washington, D.C., they are hoping that it goes back to sleep. When I do interviews with reporters, sometimes I'll get a cynical reporter who will ask a question. None of the people that are here today, by the way, pleasant company excuse. A reporter will say, because I've spoken at so many Tea Party events, I started speaking at Tea Parties, Americans for Prosperity events, way back in early 2009. I was speaking at Tea Parties before it was cool. Now all of a sudden it's cool. And some reporters will go, well, Mr. Cain, do you think this Tea Party thing is going to die down? Now we're a thing. 6 months ago, they said we were racist. They couldn't make that stick, so now we are a thing. Well, let me tell you something about this thing. We the people are still in charge of this country, no matter what you decide to call us. So here's what I want to encourage my fellow things to do. Number one, stay informed. You gotta stay informed because you know stupid people are running this country. We've got to save them and the nation. Number two, stay involved. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. Because we want to be involved. One of the things that inspires me is when you come out to these kinds of events, and when I meet people who will say for the very first time they have never gotten involved in any kind of rally or Americans for Prosperity event, but they're here now. That means that the real people who have been sitting at home are getting involved, and that's going to help save us. And then the third thing that I encourage you to do, in addition to staying informed, stay involved. Stay inspired.
State capital. I take a different approach than all other candidates running for president. Now hear me clearly. I accept no contribution greater than $100. I take no PAC money. I report all monies given to me. I am free to lead a rising America. Our political system, in my opinion, has been institutionally corrupted by the power of money. We have a tax code that's 4,000 pages long and you can't read it. We have a budget that's out of balance for the rest of our lives. We have a debt bigger than any nation in history, 14.7 trillion. And under Obama's watch, it will double in the next 6 years. And we borrow the money from our competition. Let me put it to you this way. We spend $300 billion a month, and we borrow $120 billion from our competition. We borrow $120 billion of $300 billion. The game is rigged. Washington, D.C. is bought and sold. It's a boom town, while New Hampshire and Louisiana are hurting. Washington, D.C. is about lobbyists and special interests. Washington, D.C. is about big checks. Washington, D.C. gives more money to presidential campaigns than 36 American states put together. Washington, D.C. is a place where General Electric wrote the tax code. They made $5.1 billion last year, and you know how much money they paid in taxes? Not one darn dime. I'm the only guy running for president who's been a congressman and a governor. I'm the only guy running for president who challenges the special interests. I'm the only guy running for president who will take only $100 or less and report every penny. The American Revolution was about a tea party, wasn't it? The American Revolution was a protest against taxation without representation. Well, I think it's time for a second revolution. I ask you a question. We have a man in power who lives on lobbyist money, bundled money, Wall Street money, fat cat money, special favors money, too big to fail money, PAC money. I'll put up a candidacy against him face to face, nose to nose, $100, no PACs, no special interests. By the way, I'd like to know how much General Electric spends in lobbyists. Wouldn't you like to know that?